Howdy folks, this is our second day of statistics, and what we did on the first day is we learned how to identify the descriptive statistics of a set of data. And a set of data is just a whole bunch of numbers that are different observations of the same quality of some kind of thing that we're studying, okay? So what I'm going to show you how to do today, we're continuing with the subject of organizing data. And one of the reasons we want to organize data is so that we can answer questions. As we progress through the class, you'll see that the questions that we want to answer become more and more difficult to answer. But at first, we're going to try and answer very easy questions. When all we have is a whole bunch of numbers on a piece of paper, it's hard to make sense of those numbers. But when we organize that data into graphs or into tables or into descriptive statistics, then we can answer questions because it's been organized and it's easier to read. Now, one way you can organize data, a very simple way that you can organize a set of data, is by creating a frequency distribution or creating a histogram. Now, a frequency distribution and a histogram, they're both basically the same thing, they're just represented differently. A frequency distribution is a table, basically, and a histogram is basically a graphical representation of a frequency distribution. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you a data set, and what we're going to do is we are going to create a frequency distribution and we're going to create a histogram. Now, one of the first things you have to do in order to create a frequency distribution is you have to take all your numbers and you have to organize them into groups that we call classes. Okay? So let's say that we have a bunch of numbers like, let's say 5, 7, 12, 9, 2, 4, 6, another 5, maybe another 12, a 10, an 11, another 9, maybe another 9, and then another 4 and a 3. And what happens is we've got all these numbers, and what we want to do is you can see that the smallest number that we have is 2, and the largest number that we have is 12. Now, we could just put them all in one group and say that that one group is all numbers from 2 up to and including, well, let's say 2 up to 13. Because here's the thing is this up to number, that number, we would not put that number in this group. And I'll explain that later, okay, because that would be put in the next group up. So, well, let's just get there. So let's say that we have just one class, and that's all numbers that start at 2 and go up to 13. Well, all of these numbers start at 2 and go up to 13. Not all the way up to 13. The highest number is 12. So we'd put all of these numbers into one class. But what if we wanted to break it up into more than one group? What if we wanted to break these numbers up into, say, I don't know, let's break them up into 3 groups. What if we said all numbers starting at 0 and going up to 5? And then our next group was all the numbers starting at 5 and going up to 10. And then our third class is all numbers starting at 10 and going up to 15. The first thing you have to understand is that all of your classes should have the same size, okay? You can see starting at 0 and going up to 5, that's, if we do this number minus this number, 5 minus 0 is 5. So this class has a width, a range of, this has a range of 5. And here 10 minus 5 is also 5. This has a range of 5, and then 15 minus 10 is also 5. So this class has a range of 5. And here's the important thing is that when setting up these classes, all of your classes should have the same range. You don't want to go from 0 up to 3, and then 3 up to 19, and then 19 up to 27. You don't want to have different ranges. In a frequency distribution, in order for it to be useful to you, all of your classes should have the same range. Okay? So if we were going to do that, then what we would do is we would put, so the question is, where would we put this 5? This is a very important question. You got to pay attention here. Where would we put this 5? Well, this class says 0 up to 5, okay? But here's the thing, up to 5 doesn't mean including 5. It means up to, but stopping right before 5. So we would put 4 here, we would put 4.9 here, 4.99 would go here, 4.99999 would go here, but 5 is actually going to go into this group over here, because this says starting at 5 and going up to 10. So we would put the 5 here, okay? So we got that. The 7, that's going to go in this group here. The 12, that's from 10 up to 15. The 9 is going to go in this group here. The 2 is going to go in this group over here, in this class over here. The 4, that's going to go in this class over here. The 6 will go in this class. The 5, again, will go in this class. And it's okay to have 2 of the same number or even more. This 12, that's going to go in this class here. This 10, remember, here, is it going to go in this class or this class? It's going to go over here because this is up to 10, but not including 10. So 9.99999 would go here, but 10 is going to go in this group over here. So put a 10 there. This 11, that's going to go in this group over here, this class. 9, that's going to go in this class here. This 9 is also going to go in this class. This 4, that's going to go in this class over here. And then this 3 is going to go in this class. And what we've just done is we have just organized all this data. We've sorted the numbers into 3 different groups. And now it makes a little more sense to us. We can do more with the information because we have sorted the numbers into groups. That's an important thing that we do in statistics, is we organize numbers into groups so that they're easier to comprehend, because our brains sometimes aren't big enough to comprehend a mess of numbers. Okay? Now, once you've identified all the numbers into classes, what you would then do is you're going to make a table. Okay, let me erase this. So what we would then do is we'd make a table, and at the top we would write class, and the first class is 0 up to 5. The second class is 5 up to 10. The third class is 10 up to 15. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say frequency. Now, frequency is just a fancy word for how many are in that class. That's it, okay? So, how many are in the class 0 up to 5? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, right? So we're just going to put a 4 here. How many of the numbers are in 5 up to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to put a 7 here. And how many are in the class from 10 up to 15? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put a 4 here. There we go. That is a basic frequency distribution. But what we're going to do now is we're now going to add on another column. We're going to call that column relative. The relative frequency distribution. Okay? Now, relative frequency distribution can either be done as a fraction or as a percentage. We're going to do both. Okay? And in order to do a relative frequency distribution column, you need to know the total number of observations. And here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 total observations. Okay? So we're going to say, and how many of those observations, and if we could add these up, if we added 4 plus 7 plus 4, that's 15. That's what we're looking for. How many of those 15 observations are 0 up to 5? Well, 4 of them are, right? So that means 4 out of 15 of the observations are 0 up to 5. How many of the 15 observations are 5 up to 10? Well, 7 of them are. So we're going to say 7 out of 15. And how many of them are 10 up to 15? 4 of the observations, right? 12, 12, 10, and 11, right? So we're going to say 4 out of 15. So here is our relative frequency distribution. And what we want to do is we want to now punch these in a calculator and get a percentage. So I'm going to go get a calculator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 4 divided by 15. So 4 divided by 15, that's 0.266, or well, 0.267. So what we're going to do is we're going to say it's 26.7%. Now we have the same thing down here, 4 divided by 15, so that's also 26.7%. And now let's do 7 divided by 15. Gives us 0.466, and we'll say that's 46, and we'll say 0.6%. There's a little bit of rounding in there, but this is close enough. And so now we've got our relative frequency distribution. All right? We're going to add one more column to complete our frequency distribution, and that is the cumulative frequency distribution. And what the cumulative frequency distribution does is it basically just says it accumulates the percentages as we go up. It also accumulates the amounts. So, starting at 0, how many are from 0 up to 5? 4. So we're going to say 4 out of 15, which we already know is 26.7%. Now, for the next one, we're going to do the 7 out of 15, but we're also going to include the 4 out of 15. So what we're doing is we're basically adding these two numbers up, okay? Because we're accumulating as we go up. So for this next one, it's the 7 plus the previous 4. 7 plus 4, that's 11. So it would be 11 out of 15. And then that percentage here, we just have to add these two percentages up. So 26.7 plus 46.6 is 73.3. 73.3%. And then, of course, going up to the 10 out of 15, if we add 4 plus 7 plus 4, that's 15. Or 15 out of 15, and that is 100%. And so, to have a complete frequency distribution, what you have to do is you have to have your classes, you have to have your frequency, your relative frequency, and your cumulative frequency. And once you do that, that is your complete frequency distribution. Now I'm going to show you how to draw a histogram with this information. Now, in order to draw a histogram, all you really need is the class and the frequency. You don't need the relative and the cumulative. So I'm going to erase these. Erase this, and I'm going to erase this. A histogram basically is a chart of sorts. It looks a little bit like a bar graph, but it's not actually a bar graph. I mean, it is a bar graph, but it's a special kind of bar graph. The important thing in a histogram is that the bars need to actually be touching. You don't want to separate the bars. The bars need to be pushed right next to each other, okay? And what we're going to do is you have to have your classes across the bottom. And what we'll do is we know we have 0 up to 5. So basically it's not like an x-axis. This is an x-axis. And so on the x-axis we have 0 over here, and then 5 is right here. And then we have 5 up to 10. So we're going to have 5 up to 10. And then we have 10 up to 15. So we're going to do 10 up to 15. And here's what you're going to do, is you're going to put this is counting up by notches. Let's see, 3, 4, we're going to need 7 altogether. Let's cut them in half. There we go. So here's what we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? So we're going to count up for each one of these classes. So from 0 to 5, how many notches are we going to go up? We're going to go up 4 because the frequency is 4. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to draw across and then down, okay? So this includes 4 of them, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next one has 7. So it's going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to go up here to 7 and over and down. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I made a little high there. Maybe I can cut that off right there. There we go. 7. Okay, good. And then the last one is 4. So this one's going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to go up to here and over, and down. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 0 to 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. From 5 up to 10, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. And from 10 up to 15, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So this is now a histogram. Now it's not quite complete. I have to add one more thing. How many total are there? There's 15 total. So what that means is that each one of these blocks is 1/15. So we're going to put a 1/15 here. And since this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 high, that's 4/15. And because this one is 7 high, that's 7/15. So this is 4/15. This is 7/15. And this one is also 4/15. You don't normally have to write those numbers on the top, but I'm writing them there for you, okay? And that's how you make a histogram. And that's all we're learning how to do today. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to put another example up on the board so that we can go through another example, something that you might see on the worksheet that you're going to work on, okay? Okay, so the instructions on your worksheet say that you're given a set of data, and the instructions say to identify all the descriptive statistics. So identify the mean, the median, the sample size, which, by the way, sample size is your number of observations. So that's your N, okay? But from now on, we're going to call it sample size, okay? And I'll explain sample in another class later, okay? All right, so we got to identify the mean, the median, the sample size, the range, the sample standard deviation, which is indicated by S, and the sample variance, which is S squared. Okay, we're going to identify all this stuff, and here's the data that you're given. In fact, you may want to pause the video and write all these numbers down so that you can work with them with me. And you're going to need to use Excel to do this. And I'm going to break in just a minute. I'm going to switch over to Excel so you can see me working with Excel. Now, the classes are given to you. You don't have to figure out the classes. This is given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes. And one of the classes is from 2 up to 4, from 4 up to 6, from 6 up to 8, from 8 up to 10, and from 10 up to 12. Okay? So let's go ahead and switch over to Excel right now, and we'll try and figure out how to answer these questions, okay? Okay, so here I am. I've opened up an Excel spreadsheet. I have put the data set that we're working on, put it over here, and what I want to do is I want to start by getting my descriptive statistics. So what I want to do is on Excel, I want to go to the Data tab, right? Okay, and I'm going to use data analysis over here, but I'm not going to click on it yet. The first thing I have to do is I have to put all of these numbers into a column over here. So I'm going to go over here to A1, the very first column, and I'm going to start typing these numbers in. So first 6.6, and then I'm going to hit the enter button, or I can press the down arrow and that'll enter the number. Then I'm going to put in 3.5, so 3.5, enter, then 3.8, okay, then 9.4, then 6.2, another 6.2, which is okay. It's okay to have 2 of the same number or 10 of the same number. 5.9, then we got 8.6, then 5.6, then 4.2, and then 2.8, and then 7.3, then 10.7, and you should be doing this with me. Don't just watch, you should do this with me. Then 7.9, you'll probably have to minimize one of the windows, and then 9.7, and then 6.8, and then 8.3. You could also watch the video on your phone and then work on your computer. That's possible too. Then 7.5, 6.7, 5.1, 8.1, and then 9.5. Okay? All right, great. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you something new now. I want to show you that there's something that you can do with all this data. If you, before we do the standard deviation and everything, what you can do is you can go over to all your numbers, left click on the top number, hold down the left click button, and then drag down so that you highlight all of the numbers like that. Then let go of the left mouse button. And now that's called selecting a group of cells. Now, see we're under data. I want to show you this box here. See sort and these right here. What these do is if you only have one column of numbers selected, if you click on one of these two buttons, it'll organize them. See, it says sort smallest to largest. And this button sorts largest to smallest. So I'm going to sort smallest to largest. See, by doing that, look what it did. It just put all of the numbers in order from the smallest number up to the largest number. Okay? And that's going to help me when I do my frequency distribution. So by sorting your numbers, you can you don't have to organize them by hand. Excel will organize them for you. So now, but before I do that, before I do the frequency distribution, I'm going to go ahead and get my descriptive statistics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the data analysis button, and I'm going to click on that, data analysis. And I get this, this dialog box here, and I want descriptive statistics. So I'm going to click on descriptive statistics, and I'm going to click OK, and I get this box here. So it says input range. Okay, so let's see here. For input range, let me do something here. Oh, it just kicked me out. I want to show you that's the button that you want to push right there. Okay, and then that will allow you to select all the numbers that you want to select. Okay, so I'm going to click on, let me exit out of that. Okay, so now I'm going to click on that button, and it gives me this, and what I have to do is I have to highlight the first box there, and then hold down the left mouse button and drag it all the way down to the last number, and then I'm going to press enter. And when I press enter, it's going to give me this box again, and you'll see how it puts whoops, there it is. You'll see how it puts those numbers or that range into the input range. Okay, all right, so now I have to tell it, you see where it says columns and rows? It's asking if your numbers are up and down, or are they across? If they're up and down, they're columns. So I'm going to leave this in columns. Then down here where it says output range, I'm going to click on output range there. And then again, I have to click that button right there. Do you see that button? And when I click on that button, what it's asking me to do is it's saying, well, where do you want me to put all your answers? And so I just have to pick any box. So I'm going to pick this box right here, and it doesn't matter which one you pick as long as you don't pick one that is near other stuff. So then I'm going to press enter. And then the last thing I have to do is I have to click on this box that says summary statistics. See there? I put a check mark. If I take it out, I can put it back in. I need a check mark in the summary statistics. Then I can come over and click OK. When I click OK, it's going to give me all of my answers. Do you see that here? So now it's given me all the descriptive statistics that I'm looking for. Now it's not letting me. Let's give it a second. Maybe it's stuck. All right, let me click this here, and then here. All right, but you can see now, here's the mean. There's the mean. Then we've got the median. And down here is the range. And then we have the sample standard deviation is right there, and the sample variance is right there. So we're going to put all of those numbers in our answer. We're going to write them down on the paper. Okay, so I'm going to write those down on a piece of paper, and then I'll put them up on the whiteboard. But we have X bar. Let's look at this again. Here's the X bar, the mean. X bar is the mean, 6.836. Then, and the sample size is the count. Do you see this down here where it says count? That's the sample size. So that's n equals 22. And then the median is right here. There's the median right here. And that's, oh, I just zoomed in there. I didn't mean to do that, but that helped a little bit. 6.75. Median, 6.75. And then the range is right here. So put range as 7.9. And then the standard deviation is right here. So I'll put S. What we write is S for standard deviation. S equals 2.13. You could also write 2.130, or you can round the 6 up to a 1 and put 2.131. Either way is fine. Then variance, that's right here, the sample variance. And what we write for variance is S squared. Okay, so S squared is equal to 4.539. All right, so that's step one. That's what we were supposed to do first. All right, I'm going to go ahead and exit here and come back in just a minute. All right, so now we've identified these pieces of information. We've got the sample size, we've got the mean, median, we've got the range, the sample standard deviation, and the sample variance, which you just saw how we calculated. And now what we got to do is we're now going to make our frequency distribution. And so remember, to make the table, we have to have our class. Okay, we're going to have 5 classes here, and they're given right here. Then we're going to have the frequency. So we want to write frequency. And then we want to have our relative frequency. So we're going to write relative here. And then we're going to have our cumulative. And so we're going to write cumulative right here. Okay? So we have that. So this is our table. Then over here, right here, this is where we're going to draw the histogram. Okay? All right, so the classes are 2 up to 4. So we're going to write 2 up to 4, and then 4 up to 6. So 4 up to 6, and then 6 up to 8. So 6 up to 8, and then 8 up to 10, 8 up to 10, and then lastly 10 up to 12. Up to 12. Now, remember, when we were looking at the Excel, when we were looking at the computer screen, and you can go back in the video if you want to look again, remember we sorted all of the numbers from smallest to largest, right? So now all we have to do is look back at that list. It's already sorted, and we can see how many of the frequency, or how many of the numbers are between 2 and 4, and 4 and 6, etc. So I have my computer right here, so I'm just going to look down there at the list, and we're going to see, I know that 2 up to 4, that's these 3 numbers right here. There are 3 of them. Okay, so we're going to put a 3 right here. And the number that run from 4 up to 6, then this number up to 6, so that's up to 5.9 here. These 4 numbers are in the second class. 4 of those, so we're going to put a 4 right here. And the number of numbers from between 6 and 8 are then 6 up to 8. 6 up to maybe here, 7.9. These numbers are in the third class. 8 of those, so we're going to put an 8 here. And then from 8 up to 10, then 8 up to 10. So starting here and going up to here, these numbers are in the fourth class. There's 6 of those, so put a 6 here, and then there's only one number between 10 and 12, and then 10 up to 12. There's only one number that goes from 10 up to 12, so this number down here is going to be in the 5th class. So we're going to put a 1 here, okay? Now we can make sure here, we can tally this up and make sure it's 22. Remember, there's n equals 22. That's the number of observations, and that's how many numbers are here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. And if we add this up, it should equal 22. So 3 plus 4, that's 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. 15 plus 6 is 21. Plus 1 more, that's a total of 22. So when we go over here to the relative frequency, all we're going to do is we're going to put this number over this number as a fraction. So the relative frequency for this first class here is 3 out of 22. For this class, it'll be 4 out of 22. And you don't have to reduce these fractions. You can leave them like this. For this one, it's 8 out of 22. For this one, it'll be 6 out of 22. And for this last class, it's 1 out of 22. That's the relative frequency. And if you were to add up all these fractions down here, you would have 22 out of 22. Okay? Now we want to do these as percentages also. So we're going to get a calculator, and we're going to do them as percentages. I have a calculator right here. So I'm going to do 3 divided by 22 is 0.136, which we're going to say is 13.6%. Okay? Actually, that doesn't look very good. Let's fix that. Sorry about that. 13.6%. 4 divided by 22, that's 18.2%. 8 divided by 22, that's 36.4%. 6 divided by 22, that's 27.3%. And lastly, 1 out of 22, and that's 4.5%. Now these should add up to 100%, but with rounding it could have gotten messed up. So those together make 10, the 2 and the 3 makes 5, with 5 is a 0. Okay, we're good. So this is our relative frequency. Now if you mess up on the rounding, I'm not gonna hurt you for it. Your grade isn't gonna get hurt for it. It's not that big of a deal. So now for cumulative, all we're going to do is we're going to add the numerators up as we go. So we only have one class at first, so it's going to be the same 3 out of 22, which is 13.6%. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add this plus this. 3 plus 4 is 7. So now it's going to be 7 out of 22. And we're going to add these two percentages together. 13.6 plus 18.2 is 31.8%. Now we're going to add these three up. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. So it's 15 out of 22. And then we're going to add up these three percentages. So 31.8 plus 36.4 is 68.2%. Now, 3 plus 4 plus 8 plus 6, that's 21. So we'll have 21 out of 22. And we're going to add 68.2% plus the 27.3. That's 95.5%. And then lastly down here, if we add up all the numbers, it's 22. So the last one is going to be 22 out of 22, which is 100%. Okay? So now we have created the frequency distribution. And now all we have left to do is to make the histogram. Now it might be hard for you on the computer, on the video to see the lines here, but I've got boxes pre-made, okay? Now we know our first class goes from 2 to 4. So down here, I'm going to put 2 here and then a 4 here at this vertical line. There's a vertical line there. Then 6, then 8, then 10, and then 12. There we go. So these boxes are from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and 10 to 12. Well, now we just go to our frequency distribution. How many from 2 up to 4? 3 of them, right? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 up to here. And draw our line down to there. Good. How many from 4 up to 6? 4 of them. So we're going to go up to 1, 2, 3, there's 4. So that's right here. All right. And then how many from 6 up to 8? Well, there's 8 of them, right? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going all the way up here. That's here. There we go. How many from 8 up to 10? 6 of them, 6 observations. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right here. And then how many from 10 up to 12? Only 1 observation. So we're just going to go up to 1, over, and that is, and now we're done. That is our histogram. I do need to put a scale on the edge of the histogram here. There's a total number of observations, 22. We put 1 over n down here. In this case, n is 22, so we're going to put 1 out of 22 on the side here. What that means is that each box is worth 1 out of 22. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 boxes altogether. And if you did it correctly, that's exactly what's going to happen. There's your histogram. And that is how, given a set of data, you can identify descriptive statistics, create a frequency distribution, and create a histogram. And that's all I have for you to learn on day 2 of this Introduction to Statistics class.